Join us right now to discuss all of this is Dr. Matt McCarthy, Assistant Professor of Medicine at Weill Cornell. He's the author of Superbugs, The Race to Stop an Epidemic. Good morning to you.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us. I'm just going to go straight to the question we've all been asking ourselves. Is it here already?
Well, we don't know. And the reason we don't know is that we aren't really testing for it. We've done about 16 tests a day compared
Total
to...
in the United States?
Yeah, we've done fewer than 500 tests. And
Why?
The reason for that is the CDC came up with a test, sent it out to all 50 states, and then said, well, wait a second, this is a faulty test. And so we haven't had something to work with. The good news is new test is on its way.
Okay.
And the most important thing that we could do is to go out and test 10,000 people today to show that this virus is not actually here and circulating.
But you would, if it was more than a really small number, you would expect to be able to detect above background levels of respiratory diseases in emergency rooms, and you're not seeing that yet.
That's right. We would expect to see a big bump in these influenza-like illnesses.
And we haven't.
And we haven't seen that.
So you're really worried. And we need to do the tests. They did 200,000 tests already, I think, in China.
Correct.
Right? So, and we've done, as you said, we're not doing nearly enough. So they're going to ship out the new one. I wish they had to ship out a lot of those things. How quickly can we make them?
Well, I spoke to somebody on the Hill last night who said that they were briefed that the new test is coming soon. I said, how soon? They said, we don't know. But think about...
They wouldn't give you like a days or weeks type of estimate?
No, and the CDC has not given us that information yet. But that's the question I want answered, is when can every doc in the country see a patient and order a test on the spot? And I think the answer to that is going to be soon. That data will be crucial for us.
Has China done a good job quarantining people? And do we, with the amount of freedom we enjoy in this country, are we capable of the same response that China has taken in?
Well, that's going to be the billion-dollar question, because quarantines here may be unconstitutional. The question that we're going to have to address, and we can only address with data, is should we do these quarantines? What we're seeing now, as people are going to look at the repercussions of quarantines, going to check on the families that have been quarantined. Today they found a 6-year-old boy who's been home by himself for days because he was with his grandfather who died, and he was said not to go outside. So I'm not arguing for or against quarantines. I'm just saying that there are repercussions we should think about.
But as a doctor who looks at outbreak control, is it an effective method of control?
Well, when it initially happened in China, the World Health Organization came out and said, we don't support quarantines. Now we know that it bought us time. It did spare people from being infected. And so there's been a shift in our thinking on it. Whether or not it should be done outside of China can only be answered once we start testing and we know the full scope of the problem, and we don't know that just yet. But answers are coming soon.
What's the scenario under which it works and which it doesn't? I mean, if you had tests that showed you what would be?
If you had an outbreak of 30,000 people in Times Square, you would want to quarantine. If you only had 3 people, you would handle it differently. The data is also crucial for travel bans. If you have thousands of cases in the United States and only 3 cases in Bahrain, you don't really need to ban people from Bahrain.
By the time you figure out there's 30,000 people in Times Square who have it, it's too late, right?
It is too late.
I'm sorry, it's a 14-day incubation period.
Well, it could be longer than that.
Yeah.
We're still, our understanding of this is still evolving, but more data is coming, and that's the reassuring period.
I know you don't like to say things that are alarmist. Is your gamble it is here or not?
If I had to guess, I think that it's probably very close to being here.
Very close to being here, but not here.
That's right.
What does that mean?
That means that we have people flying all over the world, coming in and out of Times Square, coming in and out of hospitals. We don't know the answer to it, and it's a challenge for us to try to answer this question. We know it's incredibly contagious. So is it here? We just can't answer that question.
And do you have a better understanding of the mortality, the actual mortality, since we don't know how many people have it? We're overstating, it's probably not 2% mortality. Do you think it's 0.2? Do you think it's 0.02?
We're seeing an incredibly high mortality rate for people over the age of 80. We're also seeing young, healthy people die. And so our understanding of this is evolving.
What percentage of young, healthy people, though? You're talking
very
about?
Small.
Very small.
Very, very small. And
those cases, and that looks like a cytokine problem, some type of autoimmune.
That's correct. One of the interesting things is we just saw that it infected somebody in our military, a guy who was in South Korea. The question is, would we have been able to detect this case if he had been stationed in the United States? And the answer, when we get these tests available, is absolutely, and that information is coming soon.